So like to his own messages. So he reads them, he's like, oh, I feel bad. Hey, howdy. Howdy. All right. Well, again, we're so grateful to have Peter Rex here. I mean, he has done so much in his life already. It's pretty remarkable. I do want to just briefly go through his bio so you get to know a little bit about him before he talks with you. Peter Rex is the founder and CEO of Rex, an ecosystem of tech companies headquartered in Austin, Texas. Pete entered business after graduating from Georgetown University, eventually turning a sole proprietor, bootstrapped real estate investment business into a $2 billion company with over 500 employees. After more than a decade in the industry, he launched Rex as an ecosystem of tech businesses focused on disrupting the world's largest asset class. In 2020, Pete moved his company from West Coast to Texas. His first two tech companies, Get Done and Own Prop, which are aimed at disrupting the service industry and recreating the way people invest in real estate. Pete is a CPA and a lawyer with a BA in philosophy and government from Georgetown University and a JD from Harvard Law School. He lives in Austin, Texas with his wife and 4 children. And the main purpose of skipping your childhood is because I wanted to make sure first, you know, just kind of like all that he's accomplished from the perspective of his education, because what you didn't know, Pete, it's like a eulogy right now. Yes, Pete grew up, this is good stuff. Pete grew up in middle-class family in upstate New York. He was expelled from Montessori school at age 4. By the way, my son will be age 4 this month. Yeah, I'm gonna get there. Due to insubordination, and same insubordination led him to leaving high school before graduating. He was proudly known as the detention king. He finished high school via distance learning, and after a short stint in the Catholic seminary, later attended community college. And my purpose for talking about that is just to give you an idea of everything that really, you know, Pete was able to truly, in a sense, overcome and really shine as a person. And I mean, look what he's accomplished since then. So without further ado, please, again, let's welcome Peter Rex to Mays. Want to say anything?
Now that you got everything in. So. Awesome, I appreciate it. No, it's good to be here. And look, I mean, I always like to just be real upfront about my ask, what we're up to. And I'm looking to recruit from Texas A&M. So I'm aware of how hard it is to get into the school. I've looked at the numbers. So, and it's a big institution. But the people that I've met from there and from the reputations, they tend not to forget about their principles as well. So these types of people want to have as we're growing. So, you know, I heard that a lot of you guys have internships already lined up. So you can just cancel those things I mentioned to one of the guys. Yeah, make a better choice in life. Yeah.
So one of the questions I always like to ask first is, what does your day-to-day look like as an entrepreneur or a tech entrepreneur? What does it look like? What's your day-to-day like?
Yeah, so basically, I kind of operate on the principle called find a way or make one, which is called FOMO, and that means we have objectives we're moving on. And, well, first of all, I'd say, let me run back, is everyone has to play to their own strengths. Now, my strength is the ability to innovate, find ways to get things done. Also, hyper-focus ability. Now, the weakness on that side is, you know, distractibility, things like normal school systems wasn't my best, wasn't my strongest suit. I was in like special, we call it special ed or something they put me into. So obviously, but I'm capable intellectually, just wasn't cut out for. At law school, I almost got kicked out multiple times due to not going to class. I just still avoid it because I don't learn that way, so people learn differently. So I think for me, my answer to that question would be different than other people, right? So depends on the entrepreneur and the person leading, but for me, I'm sort of binary. If I'm on something, I'm just all over it like a psychopath. If I'm not, I'm off. So I delegate pretty heavily. I try to hire and find the best people I can. It's all about talent. And leadership is really triaging between your talent and their skill set into the best opportunities you can identify and going after that. And then also trying to make sure that that talent is growing a lot, otherwise they're going to bounce, right? So you want to make sure that they are, being fed and cultivated and growing like crazy. And it's entrepreneurship is beautiful because when you're working with individuals, you realize how different all the individuals are. And it's like putting together this incredibly complex puzzle, how to work together on different projects as you're moving. So long story short is I haven't really given you a good concrete answer of what I'm doing, but what I do every day, but it varies on what we got to execute is. So today, for example, I had a number of things I put together in the morning. I get up, normal stuff, work out, I pray in the morning, I do stuff with my family, I have some people at my home that we're building a relationship with. So I tend to get all my things that I know I need to get done as priorities up front and done by like 8:30 or 9 a.m., which would be family time, stuff like that. Even salad, I try to get that out of the way. That way I have like whatever I want afterwards. So, so I get like all that stuff that's the priority done. And then the rest of the days, boom, now work on stuff, for basically, this is not for everyone, right? By the way, I'm not somebody that you necessarily want to live my life, but I'll work like 14 hours or so after that. That's just like crush. So, and then I'll go to bed, whatever. I'll try to wind down, and I count sleep as when I'm reading my bed. So that happens whenever I start to fall asleep fully. So, but I'll read business stuff while I'm falling asleep. But usually biography, things about leadership, stuff like that. So
Thanks.
that's it.
Any lessons you learned as a young entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to give you, I'm gonna try to think of nuanced things that you haven't heard that are trite and like everyone says, so that way you can get a different perspective. I would say just, take care of your track record and your investors and people you're with as a priority, because in the end of the day, especially at your guys' age, you guys are young, and 15 years or whatever, you'll be in my position, and what's going to matter is how well you serve the people that are around you, your investors, everything else, more so than how much money you have in your pocket by far. So, and it's going to pay off like crazy. It's your best dividend payoff is investing in, putting the time in to make sure you deliver for your investors. So when I came into business 2005 and 2007, there was the great financial crisis hit, and I came in through the real estate side. So it was highly levered entry. And then, I was, quick millionaire. So I was like, oh man, I'm like a baller, but I'm, young, 25, whatever it is. And I got smoked with the Great Recession. When it hit, it just crashed all the banks. I don't know if you guys know about the Great Recession, but it was the largest collapse since the 1930 or whatever, Great Depression. So anyways, so I took that one on the face pretty hard, almost got knocked out with the bankruptcy. I did just really keep things going. After that, when I got through the end of that, I got through pretty fast, relatively fast, a year and a half or so of working on it. When I came through the end of that, I then came back around to my investors, and I just told them, anybody who checked in, I said, hey, we're good, like, you're good on your money with me. I'm gonna cover your money back and your pref. And they, some people called me and they said, don't worry about it. It wasn't a lot of money from different people because I had to cobble together the money. And I come from working class areas, so we're talking like $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. This is money they couldn't lose. So I told them, don't worry about it. I got you. But at this point, I was like, totally broke, and I still owed money on some of the negotiations I had to pay back. But I covered them all and paid them back down the road, maybe 2-3 years, plus all their pref compounding. So it was a big price to pay. I won't even say how much. I don't want to make you guys puke. but it was a lot of money. And, you know, I didn't even say nothing about it, that this is out of my own pocket essentially. And they don't even know that really. But in their mind, they just knew like Pete was going to get them. You know, I was going to come through for him. And I didn't want to let him down on that. And also reputation reverberates, right? Somehow there's a halo effect or some kind of awareness of someone's substance if they come through or not. So, and since then with the investors, you know, I came back in real hard and resentfully in like 2009 because I was pretty bitter about my beating I took. And instead of, you know, sitting it out and thinking I'm done, I just came in harder and went all in on the GFC when things were crashed out. And at that point I had actual business knowledge versus like, you know, kind of like someone who's cocky and doesn't know what they're doing. So, and I had read a lot. I also read a lot. That was one thing I'd say to you guys. I think we have a culture that's always constantly doing different things, always distracted, right? I still read a ton. You know, I don't know how much I read. I probably read like 300 pages a week or so, which is, you know, about a book or so. Doesn't sound like a lot because I'm doing, but I'm also running businesses and stuff like that, right? So, but I think not, you know, and you got to be selective in the books you pick and stuff, right? Because you'll invest a lot of time. A lot of these things are, you know, better use as toilet paper or something like that, right? These books suck. So especially in business, there's so many dumb books. But picking your book carefully and then, you know, coming up with a list. Anyways, I'm trying to like give you guys some some ideas on stuff. I'm also here to recruit you, but you know, let's put that aside for now and give you a little heads up on things. The initial question was, what was it again?
No, I mean, that was good. I mean, I
Okay.
think these are the kinds of
I'll just keep going.
these are the kinds of lessons that they want to hear from somebody who's, I mean, truly been there and done that. So in the past, you haven't
Yeah, so anyway,
appreciated.
let me close my loop on that.
Okay.
I'm thinking,
Sure.
take care of your people, your investors, whatever, and it pays back. So in the GFC, during the great financial crisis, I'm not really aware of another entrepreneur that succeeded in buying so many assets in the downturn. Came out, you know, about $1 to $2 billion of assets bought. In that downturn, started buying notes when Lehman Brothers, right after Lehman Brothers crashed, I was making moves. And then into 2009, 10, unfortunately, I was still at Harvard Law School until 2010. So I was trying to do stuff while I was there, but that was very limiting because people were like, wait, aren't you at Harvard Law School? Oh, trust me, it's not what you think. You know, give me your money, I got this, you know, it's a great opportunity. They're like, oh, call me when you're done, you know, which I did. So, but anyways, coming out of the coming into that, I bought stuff through, you know, right through 2017 and I stopped buying with the company. And in 2016, I pivoted with my attention pummeling into technology, prop tech technology, seeing that as a huge opportunity, which I picked up along the way, which we can get into another time. But I think that's the current biggest opportunity I'm aware of. Now it also matches my skill set really well. So I'm sure that's probably why I noticed it. But the real estate space, $280 trillion asset class, undisrupted. For an idea of context of how big that is, that's 4 times the size of the global stock market. The global stock markets combined, 3 to 4 times the size of it. It's huge. And it's really undisrupted. So we have 10 technology companies who are building out and attacking that space. So that's kind of how long story short, how I got to where I am. But I got investors' money. I think I wouldn't say it's directly caused by the fact that I took care of my previous investors, but it may have something to do with it. It's hard to say. I was also attacking stuff. I knew things better at that point. But now with the investors that came in later with me, obviously everyone did extraordinarily well as the market did return. I was betting on a rebound. Now everyone else was scared like crazy. It was really hard to get money in the downturn. Things are cyclical. Right now it's easy. On a downturn, it's hard to sell. So it's basically possible. I had so many meetings in Wall Street, just everyone was wasting my time. They're wasting their own time too. They really didn't want to give. So, but anyway, so we went through, I targeted Texas actually and Florida as good long-term markets. I felt that it was good long-term markets based on regulations, climate, so kind of simple things, and then extrapolating out on simple principles I thought were true, extrapolating out to the future. Dealing with real estate as a long asset, knowing it's a debt-laden asset, so it's a financial instrument, essentially shorting the currency, and just go along on it. That's it. We still have assets. I bought pretty heavily in Austin, Texas, 2014 around. Still have assets there as well, so I've done pretty well. So,
And that's what you call home now, right?
yeah, well, I located, when I started technology stuff, in San Francisco, just because that's the heart of technology. So I literally this gives you an idea how extreme I am. So like I said, a lot of you walk out of here and you're not going to want to be me. So that's fine, but you can learn some things. So but I'm a very extreme person. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to San Francisco. Where is the spot I'll learn the most, the easiest for me to get networks? figure things out. So what we did was we mapped out over the broader area where the most capital had been invested into companies. We mapped that out, and I just literally moved right into the middle of that, like the spot that we had identified with my family. So we just got, apartment there, and that's where I launched. Built out of there. Eventually I moved to Seattle into the middle of the Amazon ecosystem, learning off Microsoft, Amazon. And then when COVID hit, we saw an opportunity to relocate the company for a number of factors I picked up over time. Hardly seeing Texas, Austin as the next wave. And we were the first technology company that I'm aware of that made that move. And then we were on the Wall Street Journal with an op-ed as well, probably 2 to 3 months in advance of anybody else moving. So
Exciting.
yeah, it's good for all the people. They all get a lot of money off their homes they bought. One of the few times I give advice to our employees about investing. So, it's probably smart to buy something. Probably not the only person that's gonna figure this out.
So in the past, you haven't liked what people called you an entrepreneur. Why is that?
Well, it's because entrepreneurs are often these kind of, essentially, it's the way I had seen it was they were like selfish people that were they just wanted to have sort of a carefree lifestyle where they didn't have obligations. They didn't have things that they owed to others. And that had zero appeal to me. So, I mean, I was so extreme on that I remember one time near the end of Harvard Law, I hit up different professors who were heavily networked to just make connection with them before I'm leaving. And one of them was like, they're very intellectually oriented. He's like, listening to me. He's like, wait, you're an entrepreneur. And I was like, nah, I actually don't consider myself that. And and then he was like, no, you actually are by definition. And we had this little debate. But ultimately, I didn't like it because of the approach of a lot of entrepreneurs is about, they want to get into entrepreneurship because they want to make money, which is fine, but they also want to not really have obligations to others. And that's not a life that has ever appealed to me in any way at all. So, and I just don't think it's an enlightened way to live your life. It's not going to make you happy. Be happy by serving people. And I was always convinced of that anyways. My undergrad was in philosophy and political philosophy, really like Straussian thinking, so very broad. I never touched business once. Wasn't aware of it really. I learned business through books, literally. Early, I just used interlibrary loan systems and stuff like that. But pretty non-conventional approach to get into things.
So I know that you feel like you were called to serve people in business. So where did that calling come from?
I would imagine, for me, I would say God, but other people that maybe don't believe in God, who are agnostic or could be atheist. I would just say, look, you got to look within yourself and find out what's in your heart, where your passions are. I think it's certainly true that I think even an atheist would agree with me. There are certain passions people have versus others, right? And that helps us all in sort of this interlocked family to work together as a humanity, right? So you got to really try to figure out what are your passions. It's hard to know yourself, right? The Delphic Oracle, right, was like, know thyself. That was the phrase of it. But I think knowing yourself is actually very hard. You can figure out who you are through other people that know you pretty well, better than sometimes you can actually postulate what you're actually, what are your passions. But if you got brothers and sisters, they'll be brutally honest with you. And then you got other people that you just know, your frat brothers or people you play in the sport teams with, they'll tell you what's up as well sometimes, if they know you well enough. And then other people you do business with, and then you try to identify those passions. And I think you really want to match your passions with your talents to the biggest opportunities you can find in life. So it's really triangulating those three things.
And I want to.
Then you don't have to work a day in your life, man. It's all fun.
Yeah, for sure. I want to ask you a little bit now more of the sort of the technical business aspects of what you're doing. Can you tell us about a few of your tech startups and how they are revolutionizing the real estate industry?
Yeah. So there, I could get into depth on this stuff, but some of you guys don't know real estate enough for me to jump into stuff too thoroughly. Some of you probably do though, actually. But crypto's real. People like crypto a lot now, so I could probably talk about that. There's one of them that's crypto based, and that's called ownprop.com. But basically, what that is doing is it's a blockchain based operation. And what we're doing is we're taking assets, like say this building, we are tokenizing it, on blockchain and selling shares in it. So what blockchain does that is different, because we had some pushback from this other group, Fundraise, on this group called Fundraise, if you guys know what they are. But anyways, they'll have to learn the hard way about why what we're doing is important. But basically, they don't really see the angle on it, was the pushback I heard from them, but whatever. basically the angle is that you drop the cost of entry and exit into real estate. So basically you drop the cost of liquidity to get in and out of real estate. Real estate has high transactional costs, incredibly high transactional costs. So if there was a $10,000 plot of land across the street, it's almost not worth buying it at $10,000. The reason why is because to get the attorney to close it costs you $1,000. That's 10% of your transaction cost right there. Never mind trying to buy $1,000, try to buy $100. Now, if you see people like, even yourselves at this stage in your life, your MBAs, right? I mean, coming out of college or even in law school, you don't have that much money, this and that, you $1,000 or whatever you might have. Maybe you guys are, rolling in it, which we should talk afterwards about you. So but generally speaking, you still have cash and you want to put to work in a smart way, right? Well, you can't get into different deals that I've done in the past because our entry point, our level of accepting money really, it's not worth taking a $10,000 check from people, right? So, and when you get established and you're good, you don't want to even bother with that transaction cost. Just the phone calls, clarifications over like a $10,000 check, even $25,000 or $100,000, But we do take it for strategically aligned people at times. We go lower, but if you really want to make $1 million or something where you get the cash coming in, it's worth the time of the investment team to work on that, bringing that cash in, recording it, make sure it's good. So the transaction costs are incredibly high, not just attorney costs, but recording costs at the local county, and a lot of other hands in the pot, right? They say it's something, I think one of the guys on our team said it's like something like 60 hands touch it before the whole thing's done, right? Just from the whole, whether it's banking systems and everything else, right? Now, what blockchain does, you can get it down to like 0, and so that already drops your cost massively. It's also better anyways, because it's immutably recorded and it's hashed across like 10,000 computers. So that's it. It's called own prop. That's one technology, and that's disrupting real estate investing. And the idea there is to get it down to a dollar for investing. So Fayez over here is from Bangladesh, and people in Bangladesh could then own a property here in Austin, Texas, or over in Austin, Texas, where I was. But over in Austin, Texas, which is a great place to own real estate because the government's there. So you got that source of capital, right? Ongoing cash flow coming in from beloved taxpayers, like myself in Texas, and UT Austin, which is not nearly as good as whatever. And there's no competition, right? So plus you have tons of tech companies there, absolutely bursting it at the seams now. So it's just going to be a great place to own real estate. Now, if you wanted to get in there from a place like that, you could just throw $1 in. Theoretically, not right now on our platform, but theoretically in the future, we could take even $1 of investment. Well, what attracts me about that a lot, why I love that, is because you can then, like we own an iconic hotel right now. We purchased in downtown Austin called Hotel Ella. It's like 2 blocks from UT Austin, and it's basically perfectly located, right? And it's gonna go up in value. I actually I agreed to buy that deal without even knowing the price. I just said, yeah, it's approved. So I didn't look at it. And it's true, it sounds nuts, but whatever. Because my instinct on it was I knew it was gonna be a good deal because everyone was negative on hotels because of COVID. So I said, just take it, whatever the price is. So, and it's already gone up a lot. But those investors are gonna do really well. And it's a sure bet. I mean, real estate's been a sure bet forever. I mean, there's times that Julius Caesar, I mentioned this before, and other people I've talked to, but Crassus is one of the 3 to try and bear it. He was the richest man in Rome at the time. How do you get his money to real estate? So real estate's been around for a while. It's a proven store of cash, store of wealth, and steady growing vehicle. And the reality is, the working class are, for the most part, cut out of it, except with their home ownership, which could go away in the future due to home rising, prices of homes rising, which could just be inevitable. But the solution to that is give them access to real estate investment through own prop. I mean, it is the solution. So I'm not saying that. I am saying we are going to win, but there is going to be competition on this. But I feel bad for them,
So how did that evolution go from the real estate that you were doing to the tech, and so forth? How did that come about?
So when I was doing the real estate, I ran all the operations, all the maintenance, everything at first. In order to save money, really, I was doing everything, including all the legal everything. But I tranched my way out of it through hiring people that are better than I was at different things, spread your way out. But I learned the whole game bottom up, and then I also learned it top down as well. So I knew it through and through, and most people that know real estate know it from the finance side. They know the deals making side. They don't understand operations well. Obviously, they don't think they did. So I've been to Wall Street many times, these meetings. They don't. So they don't understand the operation. So because they don't understand how the sauce is made and the inside the guts of it, which are very complex guts. So you don't have people in there aware of these problems, but these problems are real, and the interworkings of real estate, how it happens, how you get that apartment that you just moved into, the process of turning over that from one hand to another, and the preparation of it, and the different contractors that are involved, and the coordination of those people on scale is difficult to do, but usually done by people. But technology can replace that. And it's not replacing the people, it's leveraging the people. So now they have power tools. It's like farming by hand versus farming with power tools, right? You can do a lot more. Those are the types of tools we're building. And we have one called Get Done, where it optimizes that whole process using machine learning and artificial intelligence and computer vision and stuff like that. So, and it's better than anybody in our company. It was already better than everybody in our company 6 months ago. So it's getting better and better. With machine learning, things get better and better once you start hitting, because the thing gets smarter. It just gets, the routing of it gets more intelligent. And our goal is to get deep learning around there. So it's like Alexa smart. So it's just like really good at routing jobs and getting these work things, the throughput faster. And why that's important is the way that real estate works is everything that's empty can't be rented, right? It's like a retail store. You go in, there's nothing on the shelves, you can't sell it. So when someone leaves that apartment, you have empty space, right? The quicker you can get that so it can be filled, it's ready for the next person, you could just close the gap on the money. You get that revenue in. So, and every little movement you can get on the upside on revenue, because real estate's highly levered, is just pure profit. So it's just pure cash. You can, so it'll be like, because you have and also you have a lot of people like yourselves might have in the past been on the entrepreneurship side of real estate, where you actually get your money after the debt, after the investors, and after their prep. So you're actually on like the bleeding tip of the spear of what will get paid to you. So if you can, increase that revenue while keeping the cost constant, you're gonna add a lot of profitability. So, and it drives everyone to have a better life, so people aren't caught up doing a lot of, tasks they're not as good at. They can focus on things that are core to what they're good at. Property managers are better generally at sales and people things. They're not as good at, some would disagree with this, but construction guys will agree with me on this. And I came out of construction originally, actually, back in the day, but they'll definitely agree with me across the board, is that they don't understand construction maintenance. So you have people that really don't understand it running a lot of this stuff. And if you can get it out of their hands and get it automated and actually do a better job at it anyways, you can leverage these property management professionals to focus on sales, and they'll make more money anyways. So I think it just helps elevate humanity through the technology. So anyways, I'm getting kind of deep into this technology stuff. We got, medical doctors and stuff in the future over here. They're probably like, this has to do with my stuff, probably nothing. So I don't know.
Can you share a little bit more, just like what motivated that? You kind of alluded to it already, but what motivated that move from Seattle to Austin?
Okay, so the culture in Silicon Valley and Seattle is basically the same. And that culture, in my perspective, has become against a lot of the American ideals. And, I would say faith, family, freedom would be ways we just explained it before. So if you're going to build, when you build a company, essentially, the people who own your company is really your employees eventually, right? Because they end up just calling all the shots. So I don't want to have a company where all the employees are basically completely opposed to my ideals, so the ideals of their dream, essentially, which I think are just great for humanity. It's like, hey, you're Jewish, you're agnostic, you're Catholic, whatever your religion you are, come here to America. You share these ideals. People can speak freely. They can, vote as they like. And they can live as they like. It's provided you protect, certain things like life first, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These ideals are just great. I mean, they're game-changing ideals. And my ancestors benefited from them. My grandparents came from Ireland, and Ireland Catholics were like pissed on, like they didn't allowed to own anything. So for like 600 years under the British. So they were effectively indentured servants over there. They couldn't own any property because they didn't want to turn Protestant, right? So, but over here they got the freedom, and so did so many other people, right? And Texas, I think, is still upholding that standard. And I think there's a bit of a pull back towards more intolerance towards other people on the West Coast that I saw happening more and more, and it didn't seem like it was going away. And the governments also seem to be really on board with this, and it's not a place I want to build my company. So, and I feel bad, there's a lot of great people out there too that are still, they have someone's family out there that can't move, so they're gonna be out there. But I think in a way, they're counting on Texans to really, hold up the standard. And by the example of Texas anyways, I think one way or another, they're gonna learn that this is the better way to live. It's a better way to be more open-minded, to be more caring of others, and to respect other people's dignity and things like that. But they sound like political issues, but they're not. They're actually touch your business, because you get them inside your company and then it's like, it's cancerous,
So as your business grows, what are you looking for in talent?
So everything, right? So, because our business is broad, right? So I have the older businesses that I already had going are still going. So we have private equity, real estate, and that's getting rebuilt out of Texas. So we're still not getting that structure down yet. We have great people there, by the way. So they're awesome and they're cranky, but because we had relocated everything to one spot in Texas, we had to restructure, and we're still getting that into place. So we're going to be building that side out. Now on the technology side, we're full cranking. We have 10 companies we're pushing on. We also have a property management company from before as well that's still pushing and actually doing very well. They've crossed a number of corners even after they've landed here. So they're expanding very fast. But on the technology side, we have 10 companies that we've at different varying stages of growth that are already getting spun up, right? So within those companies, we have opportunities. You'd have to be somebody into entrepreneurship, technology. I mean, we're looking for people that are at that early stage. You need someone that's a little bit crazy and that can take that level of pressure. And a lot of people think they can. A lot of people think they're cut off that entrepreneurial stuff. They're actually not. So you got to really reflect. It's kind of like it's more of a mentality of someone who might want to go through the BUDS program and go become a SEAL or something. You really got to go through it's stressful because of the amount of iterations they go through, changing testing the technology of the customer, getting blowback, bad feedback, doing it again, dealing with me. So no, and look, I mean, it's true though, right? Because I'm gonna keep pushing hard. So we got to keep it moving, and it's for them. It's for their interest as well. Like we're all on the same team, right? So, but the standards are really high, and the expectations are high, and we're working on is very important. The other thing the highest level thing we see ourselves doing is creating a new technology ecosystem, an alternative to Silicon Valley and Seattle. That is a very important concept. I can get into if you want. It's a little bit complex, but basically, I see a need to create a new ecosystem that's an alternative to Silicon Valley and Seattle. Otherwise, we'll keep seeing technologies built that are then turned on people like GoFundMe, where they'll turn on truckers or whatever else is going on over there, right? So, like who would have thought, So, but you've seen this with Stripe, you've seen it with Amazon, you've seen Amazon AWS services, you've seen it with the bookstore too. I had a call with a guy whose book was taken down all of a sudden, Anyways, so you gotta create an alternative to this, because people don't like, it's not really about those companies, it's actually about the people in general. They should have a right to select the information they want to see and hear from different sides, even if someone's a lunatic. You know what I mean? It's the crazy people sometimes that say the stuff that's different. Like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that, right? At one point in time, it was crazy to think the Earth was round and stuff, right? So Columbus was crazy because he thought that a lot of people think that people thought the Earth was flat then. They didn't really actually. They all knew it was round. They didn't realize there's continents in between China and there. So everyone figured because of the math they'd done that China was very, very far away. You'd never survive travel. But Columbus had the theory that actually the land was closer based on some evidence he found from like just trees or something floating in. He might have been wrong, but he was about his evidence, but he was right that there was something between, which was America. But he thought he landed in India. So, anyways, the point is that person, was he crazy for his time? Absolutely, he was nuts. But if he didn't do that, you guys wouldn't be here. There would be something different going on. So, and that person changed a lot, right? So anyways, I think America is a broad tech. You gotta keep it like that, right? And I think technology we've seen now is absolutely controlling things. You got to have alternatives. And Texas can be a great way to do it because we have an engineering culture here as a pioneering culture. I have a lot of respect for the Texas culture. I'm actually from New York, which I was going to say it's better than Texas, but it's not. I probably would have said that when I was young, for sure. But Texas, man, I've been all over Texas. It's a powerful state. People have a very strong culture here that is aligned very well with my own personal culture. So it's, and what I think is also very good for humanity long term, for creation of goods and serving other people. And it's got that right mix between, they have strong values and principles, but they let you have your values and principles as well in your space, right? So.
I have one more question before we hand it over to the audience, and that is Rex. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, maybe 10 years down the road?
Yeah, so in the short term, it's hard to predict things, how quickly things will come. You know, in 2009 and 10, I thought the rebound of the market was going to be fast. So I was pummeling and I was like, man, I'm going to miss it. It's going to come back in 2012, 13, and really come back to like 14, 15, 16. But it still held on, kept building, right? So it turned out well, obviously. But, you know, I would say in the long run, Rex is going to be, it's going to be the largest enterprise ever built from a business perspective. So now in the short run, it's going to be messy. So we're going to be building like crazy though. So we got 10 companies. They're interconnected right now. We're raising capital at this holding level structure. It's a pass-through LLC structure where investors can invest in, get the benefits of a concentrated play in real estate through technology in real estate, while also having diversification amongst 10 companies. And that play, I think, is going to be, it's going to be very big. I've designed it to be able to get to $1 trillion in total. So now it might not, if I fall short of $1 trillion, I'll still be happy because I ain't going to rest on my laurels. Certainly got to be more than $1 trillion to be the biggest right now anyways, right? So I'd be saying in San Francisco even like 4 years ago, we're at $1 trillion vision, right? So, and that was before any company hit $1 trillion. But I had even said then Microsoft would hit $1 trillion, same with Amazon, which they did. I didn't see Apple as much coming on that one, but yeah, now I just, you know, maybe out my number, we will hit 10 trillion now. It's you know, thanks to your president, we keep getting more creation of money. We keep printing money, so it inflates all the currency. So don't worry, the previous president was the same way, and the next one will do the same thing. Every president prints money like crazy. It's just an easy way out. It's like, it's hard not to, right? So if you're like, if I owed you money and like I could just print money, you're like, hey, can you give me some money? Like, I could like go try to get it, or I could just print it, give it to you. Print it, give it to you. But anyways, this is not just the US government. It's been like this throughout all of history. Go to like the Roman times, and they had these issues of inflation, you know, currency, or they kept paying because of all their wars. They kept trying to pay more currency, and then no one would even trust the money that the soldiers had because the government's currency was getting deflated or getting inflated so heavily. And eventually that it collapsed into crazy currency. Even Constantine, you know, had that issue.
$10 trillion. Who wants to get in with Rex really early? This is the time, guys. This is the time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, you know, let's see what the audience. We've also got a number of people on Zoom as well, tuning in, so we can check and see if they've got some questions. But let's give our MBAs the first shot. Yeah, Madan.
So I mean, from what I've heard from past like 30 minutes and what I've read about you, I could say that I appreciate all the work you've done because it spoke to me at a personal level. Before moving to the US back in India, when I started my own business into the construction materials, I knew that real estate was one sector which was totally untouched from technology point of view, at least back in India. So then I had this idea of unitizing residential plots and I mean, selling them, like trading, basically, setting up a marketplace to trade this unitized residential plots. So then I had faced this issues with the transactional costs and also with the legal system. So I mean, I couldn't really get through that thing. So my question to you here is basically, when I'm owning from this own prop and I'm buying a particular piece of the property, is it like, am I legally owning this, or the company owns it, and is it kind of giving me the opportunity to hold the property and being able to trade it on the own prop marketplace?
Yeah, so you'd own it legally. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with this stuff, because I talked about this at Texas A&M Law School, actually, because that buddy of mine Harvard Law School with me. But I could break it down in legal terms for them. So I think trying to think out how to break it down in business terms for you guys. But basically, it's, you guys are familiar with, you know, you'll see large apartment complexes. Sometimes it's just condos. So each one of the condos is owned separately.
Yeah.
So when you get a condo, you get legal title to that condo. What is that condo? It's a fraction of the ownership of that big property. Similarly, when you buy something on own property, you get a fraction of the ownership of the asset, property, underlying asset. So you actually legally own it. You could own like 1/1 millionth of it though. So like 1/100th, because blockchain allows us to do it at a low, to fractionalize it even more than you could with a condo, because with a condo, you can only fractionalize as much as would make financial sense to then sell it to that person. Because no one wants to sell, $2,000 shares. It's just going to be eaten up through transaction fees. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And with parcels of land too, we've considered buying up or using land and fractionalizing that, and then selling pieces of that land. So I have I don't know if I want to do this now because I bought a personal ranch in full Texas now, man. So we're going to giggle. So that's what you guys said, right? So you guys aren't really into it that much. So.
Oh, no, they are.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. So anyways, I got some cattle over there and stuff. But to be honest, I haven't even been there. So I went there at first to check it out, and then I just so damn busy. But it's a little bit outside of Austin, Texas, but it's a cool spot. It's got all the granite red rocks coming out of the ground and stuff like that. So, but anyways, we thought about just actually taking that and fractionalizing it because only really rich people own ranches, and democratizing ownership would be pretty cool. And you get the ag exemptions, so there's virtually no taxes. It's an insane deal, actually. It's a great hedge on inflation. It's almost as good as Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's
It's giving us some good ideas. Yeah, Mason.
So
No, go ahead.
I just have a follow-up question to that. So once
dominating right now. I like it.
He is.
Yeah, you just dominated him like that. Now he's a nice
This is a genuine concern. I really thought through this particular idea, so I'm really into it. So that's why I wanted to ask this. When you're trading on your marketplace, so I assume the company makes profit because you purchase a particular property and fragment it into multiple units, and that's how the company makes part of its profit. And then while trading, while customers like me purchase or trade on the marketplace, the price is determined solely by supply and demand, or do you have any other way of determining the price? Because it has to eventually go. Why not? Of course, with the market price, it is correlated with the market price. But besides that, is there anything else?
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be like our normal real estate transaction where the price will be dictated by the buyers. People that are interested will drive up the price or down. If they're not interested, keep lowering it to get a bid, But what I would say is different is that, and this is right now I'm speculating because we have to see how this plays out, right? But what I think we'll see is different is we will see a liquidity premium. I can talk from business talk with you guys, the loss history. So you get a liquidity premium, but basically that means when you have liquidity in the market where you can buy and sell on demand, there's a premium you get, which could be they say it could be 20-25% on public markets, right? But if you can bring liquidity to real estate and you could add 20-25% to that, and that's 20 to 25% on $280 trillion. They say law students aren't good at math, so I'm not going to venture to do that math for you guys. You can figure it out. It's a big number. So now I don't think that my point is that it should theoretically create a ton of value. And that would be different in that you might say if you sell that thing for, say it's $100, I don't know. If there is liquidity in the future because you have enough buyers and sellers lined up, then you could theoretically it could be 120 instead of 100. Now that would be massive, right?
Yeah.
But that would be an additional benefit to the platform and what that offers. Now, how we make money off the whole thing would be from this gets into kind of the long-term plan of it a little bit, but basically we create a platform and then we would monetize it, similar to Amazon's AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, tremendously profitable operation. They don't make money on you using their data when you plug in with them. They make money on all the applications they set up around the system. So we'd have a lot of applications like ETFs, things that you could help you to buy, say you want to buy in Austin, but you want to buy a certain number of street blocks. So we could have an ETF that covers those blocks. It tracks the prices you can buy in and out of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These are some of the ideas we have on how to monetize it later. So that way we can drop transactional costs, so that there's more liquidity on the platform, which benefits buyers and sellers, and then gets more people on, which then creates a loop effect. So giving away all my secrets. At the end of the day, it's going to be it's going to come down to who wins. He's got to fight.
Mason.
Yeah, so you spoke about building out a new ecosystem in Austin. Are you talking about building that out entirely under regs or bringing in other companies from elsewhere? And then I guess how do you plan on doing that exactly?
It would be great if it was just all under regs, right? So we can just monetize everything. But no, I'm happy to I want other people coming in, like when Tesla made the final decision to come here, I mean, I was pumped about that. That helps us spin up the ecosystem. That's $1 trillion company moving in, already at $1 trillion. So that was awesome. And the reason why it doesn't have to be on a Rex, right? I mean, we're gonna do our part to push this thing in, but we want other people to come in. And even with investors, I say, you know, invest with us, but if you don't want to invest with somebody similar to us, that's gonna be upholding American ideals, that could be a different area of technology, whatever it might be. But back people like that, because we gotta get, you know, this going. And it's an agglomeration effect is what you need to have, what needs to happen. I don't know if you guys are familiar with agglomeration. You know, I don't know how much, like, because as I read a lot of books, I get all these ideas, but this idea is definitely true. It's called agglomeration. I think it's by a guy, Marshall theory from like 1920s. But anyways, it's the concept of it. I've seen it all around the world. Because I've been to like over 85 countries, including Astana, which we can talk about Kazakhstan. He spent some time in Kazakhstan. But I haven't been to Albania, that's a long few. So which I saw you were in.
Yes.
My uncle was a Jesuit that taught at Albania. Pretty big impact on my life. But anyways, so now what's it talking about? Agglomeration. Yeah, so you'll see across the world, if you go to like Milan, you'll see this like, you know, ecosystem that's built up around, we call it like fashion and stuff. Not into it, so, but you know what I'm saying, fashion. Probably tell them more about fashion. So a lot of improvement in that area. So not working on it at all, so I don't care. But you'll see this fashion industry just, you know, around that area, or you'll see other places like in the past, and probably will stay into the future, Manhattan, which is questionable whether or not they probably just have a relative loss of power relative to other states at this point or cities. But Manhattan basically had a stranglehold on, or a stronghold, I'd say. They were the #1 by far in finance. So now you have some other spots that probably like kind of benefiting from some of the missteps, like Dallas and Miami, and probably Atlanta, right? So, and you have the same, you'll see the same agglomeration effect similar around in London. It covers the other hemispheres. Essentially, Africa money goes to London, Russia money goes to London. Over here, you get money from all the way Latin America. It goes to New York. It doesn't go to Miami. They might want to stay in Miami, but they money's in New York. So technology, you'll see that in different things in Silicon Valley. You see it in oil. You'll see it in agglomeration in Midland, Texas. So, anyways, we need to get in agglomeration in Texas, where you have enough. And what that means, what happens there is this symbiotic synergy that happens between enough companies in there doing different things. They then start to share customers. They also overflow ideas. So you find out, oh man, that's so cool what Uber did routing. And you know, we're doing the similar thing with some other stuff. I see how they're doing that, how they're using machine learning in this way. Okay, well, I'll apply that to how I move maintenance workers around. So we are doing that now. That's a pretty easy one to figure out. But but in San Francisco, I was there around a lot of earlier Uber stuff, you know, understanding how they're driving a lot of the vision and stuff. So, but these ideas will overflow. And then you take these ideas that are applied to this sector and you go apply to this sector. And then sometimes their customers will also be buying off this, and all of a sudden they're also buying off this. So there happen, you know, and then capital coming in understands that, but now they also understand this. So the capital starts to understand the technology industry. So, and then you create, you know, I mentioned Midland because Midland essentially broke up a lot of the oil cartel before with fracking, which is entrepreneurial driven again. I'm big into entrepreneurship, so that's the other thing I'll say. Look, I'm here to recruit for the company, but more importantly, I would like to encourage people to get into entrepreneurship in some way, even if it's in the medical business field. Get in there, and it doesn't mean you have to go and be on your own a lead entrepreneur, but you could go join an entrepreneurial company that's getting in there and making moves because they're trying to make change in a positive way. And because I like the principles of this institution and what I've seen from it, we need good people going in entrepreneurship because essentially entrepreneurs, they have the bully pulpit, you know, they have the platform and they can speak to the issues. They also have a massive amount of influence beyond just the money and the capital. So we got to get good people in these power positions. And the reality is the people who run America ultimately are the business people. And that's not new. It's been like that for a while. It's a capitalistic system, which I think is very good, you know. So.
I have one question quick from Zoom. Great journey. Thanks for sharing. Could you share the challenges you faced from traditional channels of investments, government relations, realtor lobbies, anti-crypto regulations when you went about disrupting the real estate industry? How did you deal with it, Rajiv?
Yeah, so right now we're in the process of going out, like, we're building it within the real estate industry, right? So we are not going after the realtor thing. That's another company called Rex Homes. So the realtor thing is, I think I wish an investor could do this stuff, but they're going after it's a tough hill to climb. It's, you've got, well, let's not get into their business model. It doesn't matter, but I'm not dealing with realtors, and our technology is not dealing with that. I think that network and the way they operate, I find to be, difficult to figure out how to get in there and add value, so there are ways. There's also, it's more of an obvious one to finance people, so they're already going after it. Technology people are going after it. I'm going after stuff a layer deeper, more in the guts of things, because that's not so obvious, and that gives me a bit of a head start. So I'm not aware of, anybody else that's really doing anything significant or interesting in the technology space in, like, say, like get done. There are some people doing own prop, which is the crypto blockchain. That is happening. There is some competitors. I've met a couple of the CEOs of leading companies there, and they're no match. So I will crush them. No, I'm just kidding. So, not really, but no, I am. It's collaboration, help each other out later. So, no, I'm kidding. But it's a big market, man. We don't got to be like trying to touch it. I talked to a guy from India actually a week ago, a connection I met in Ahmedabad when I was in India traveling, and he's very legit guy running a similar platform out of India. So he had a lot of questions. He had ideas too. We swapped notes and stuff. So it's a big world. So you're gonna be trying to compete with everybody, figure out ways to cooperate smarter actually. So
Good stuff. Yeah, Rafaela and Smitha.
but there will be regulations on crypto, and we are aware of that. My game plan is to do everything by the book with the SEC. And the reason why is because they have unlimited spending power, and I have limited spending power on litigation. And we have a good litigation team. So, but I don't want to pick a fight with the person that can print money. So I do think, and I've written about that they need to open up things to non-accredited investors, because that way it evens the playing field. So people that are non-accredited can also invest and participate in these investments. It's not just for the rich, anybody can. And the SEC, probably these people are thinking they're doing something good, but it's actually very patronizing, and it cuts them out of the market quickly. So they're not even able to participate in private transactions. I can't take a non-accredited investor. It's just, there would just be a ton of issues with it because of the SEC. So.
Rafaela.
Yes, sure. So I saw that you wrote on the Houston Chronicle about the tech industry, and you said that it is still on the wrong path. And I was wondering to see what do you see like the big factors to move the tech industry to the right path.
Yeah, I think you got to ground it in virtue and focus on serving people. I do think tech had a history of doing this, by the way. I think they veered off in the last 10 years or so, 15 years. But you look at Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, some of these guys, aside from their personal life, whatever, even Jeff Bezos, right? They never violated privacy. None of those guys were, and if they did, believe me, they would go bend over backwards to fix it, because they know it's not what they're in it for, right? They're in to create value for business. And what they ended up doing was, I think they gained a lot of social capital with people in the technology industry, which lulled people to sleep a little bit, where they trusted them implicitly, and then you saw a lot of this abuse of privacy happening. They'll have some terms of service that no one really understands what the hell they know what's going on, and they're tracking everything about you and your grandma and stuff, right? So you're like, what the hell? So, or they're exploiting people for profit, and they're aware of what they're doing, and they continue to lean in. They just don't have a set of morals. And I don't actually think that they do have a set of morals, and I'd be happy to have a discussion with any of them about it, because they don't really have something they can point to. They'll point to these values they have, but what are these values? These values are really the current zeitgeist, which is the spirit of the times. Whatever that might be pushing them on will be their values, whether it's like whatever you can, whatever it is right now. In 2010, they were all about democracy, right? Well, 2020 comes along and they're all about squashing people's voices and everything else, because it doesn't favor their ideology, so they're willing to do stuff that's against their principles. So everyone knows this about them, right? But at this point, you have a huge issue on leadership there. So, but I don't really think it's a fixable situation, because I don't think Jack Dorsey and these guys are actually, like, I don't think he's a bad guy, actually. I just don't think he has control of his company at this point. Like, I mean, now he's already left, but even before, I don't think he likes what the heck is going on there. But what are you going to do? You have basically a radicalized base of employees that doesn't think well of Texans. They have this, and which is funny. It's ironic. They might say Texans are bigots, But the reality is, what is bigotry besides narrow-mindedness based on a lack of actual information and open-mindedness, right? They don't understand Texas, so there actually are the bigots. So it's, anyways. I'm trying to make friends in Silicon Valley right now. I figured I've only blown up like every bridge I had out there. So.
1 second, Smitha.
Yeah, so you spoke about a couple of things and ideas to do in this sector. What is the next big move for Rex? Like, is there any innovative or creative thing which is happening in the couple of months or, coming next year, which you think is very evident or can be?
Yeah, well, we have 10 companies we're spinning up. So I mean, that's about 9 more than any other CEO you're going to talk to. So see, we're like, and I'm full in. I mean, it's just like we're all in on this and we're pushing like crazy. And it's exciting because the different companies are very different. Like we have fintech companies like PayUp, which is a breakthrough. It's like bringing Square to contract workers. Like no one's doing this. We got another one called Insure Pro, which is, you ever heard of Zebra? But basically it's like insurance on demand a la carte for contractors. So these are huge markets. These are massive markets. They're not small. So we've got a number of these ones. We have another one called Prop Data, which if you guys are familiar with Bloomberg Terminal investing, there's nothing like that for real estate. Like CoStar, it's kind of like just like data at the top, but it's not. You don't have analytical information that's actionable for investment, right? So we have a thing called Prop Data that we've already spun up that we're growing on. So we're doing a lot of, and these are we're going after, grand slam hits. We're not messing with like single. We ain't going for like unicorns. We're going for like, things that could hit 100 billion each. We're not messing with small stuff. So
Who would use that prop
data?
Prop data, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we already are using it. We have customers, and the customers are basically investors that own properties that want data readily available. They just pull up the app. They're like in between something, they can see other properties are doing. Key information is popping up. It's live. It's stuff like that. That's the first version of it, and people are tremendously interested in it, and they're pulling on us to get it out further for them. So, but it's already working, and it's in people's hands.
Come on.
You're building all this infrastructure around this real estate development in the tech infrastructure that combines like fintech, insurtech, AI, machine learning, and everything. And you're pushing 10 companies at once. Like, what are some of the challenges you face from a management perspective? Because data, all 10 companies can share on a single cloud or something like that. And it kind of like when all these companies are interconnected. So when you're sharing data with all these companies, you have like more and more challenges coming up. Sometimes it's even like harder to get them into just actualization. So what are some of the problems or challenges you face from a management perspective?
Yeah, so, well, it's very challenging, 10 companies, right? But there's a trade-off, right? You can do one company, but then you accept the risk of terminal failure on one versus 10. You have 10 points of failure, and real estate is sort of like technology is a 1 or 2 tend to hit very big. So you have better chance of liquidity, dramatically better chance of liquidity with the 10 approach. So I don't know if anybody else has done this before, but I'm comfortable in my own skin making bets when no one else is with me on stuff. And or it's a new idea and pushing into it as long as I've thought it through very rigorously. And these are areas I know well. I have CPA and JD from Harvard Law School. I understand legal stuff decently. People know a lot better than me. Definitely our accountants are probably like, you know anything. So it's probably true. But anyways, but I think combining a lot of these disciplines, I also understand private equity, but I also understand venture capital as well. Combine some of these disciplines for a vehicle that I think will optimize it best. So I've traded off, I've accepted higher execution challenge for a better total net outcome. And in the long run, I think each one will hit, but some could take 20 years. I mean, Palantir took 18. Tesla was purchased by Elon Musk back in like 2002 or whatever. I have the original Tesla car, actually. I bought it because I thought it would become a collector item, but it's those roadsters, they're super fast. Partly because that's probably why. But anyways, but I also, I'm an investor, so it's like, it could go up too, which it started going up. But he didn't get that out in 2008 until 2008, but he bought the company in like 2002 or 2003. And then he was supposed to get it done by 2005, but as usual, things take a while, right? So, but at this point, it's a $1 trillion company. It's just like, 19, 20 years later, right? Now, if you have 10 bets, though, tech can hit faster. It can hit 3 to 7 years at times. So you'll see some of them might get liquidity fast, like 3 to 7 years, but then some could take a while to really keep building, So, but challenges, I mean, when you mentioned data is a challenge, right? We have world-class people on the data side, though, that And the key thing with data is not just getting a lot of data, it's about cleansing the data and making sure the data is properly being, accounted for, you could say, basically modularized in the right area so it's applicable. And then you could then take that clean data and then you could start working on simple algorithms that then you turn into machine learning, and then you can start working that down until you have. And our goal is to create deep learning around different verticals that no one's ever done before, like maintenance. I've never even heard of anybody doing that, deep learning on maintenance. So, but some of this stuff, it's like scary already how good it is. It's like, it's, but we had like our best guy come in like 6 months ago, and he was, he's like the best at, at least he thinks he is, but at picking different contractors and matching, kind of like construction stuff. And we just challenged the system versus him. They either tied or the system would win. So, but there was never a time where he beat it. So it's like, and that was 6 months ago. I mean, it's getting better. We have people working on it that are just world class. So.
We have one more. I want to make sure that we're sensitive to your time, Peter. Hello, Rex. Joseph here from South Texas MS Analytics program. I'm in research within the commercial real estate industry and come across problems daily and try to figure out how I can solve these. In your case, you found a way to create a technology from those problems. What helped you decide this is the problem I want to solve in the sea of challenges?
Yeah, so what I do is before I make decisions on stuff, I come up with a priority. I hard prioritize abstractly upwards, which, I would recommend this is a good way to do it, especially if you have people you're working with, because then you can debate the abstraction. Say, hey, did we align on these goals? We decided these are the most important items we should focus on. And then you could go down into the specifics from the abstract, and it's easier that we debate the abstractions. So it's kind of like, I feel like if you're trying to date, if you're a guy trying to date girls, you want to abstract out what I'm looking for if you want to get married. Someone who's self-giving, these things, obviously very hot. I'm just kidding. But you put like different things down, you weigh them up, and then you try to then go down to the specifics, And we can argue with your parents, like, no, she's great, she's this and that, But anyways, when it comes to company decisions, it's really, I look at it as an investment decision, which one we're chasing. And I look at where is the deck stacked in our favor? Where is it that I know I'm going to win against other entrepreneurs? Well, real estate in general, I'm pretty sure I'm going to win against entrepreneurs in tech. At this time, I got to hustle. But as far as I'm aware of, I'm not aware of other tech entrepreneurs that are as well positioned. So that's one spot, right? So we have advantages individually and as a team. So our team, actually, when I look at the talent base, we have intrinsic advantages. So we want to play to an area that we're going to win. Like I read one time, they said, how do you beat Bobby Fischer? He was kind of like this amazing test guy back in the day, I guess. And the way you beat Bobby Fischer is you play him in a game that's not chess that you know well. So I think that's how you win in entrepreneurship. You play a game that you know really well. And I know real estate really well. I know the tech side really well. By that, boom, we should be able to win. That's one thing. And then I look at the biggest possible opportunities that are out there. That's another thing we weigh up. And that would be, I say, 10 billion plus is what we put down, right? The third thing I'd say down, and these are weighing, we weigh over using our reason. The third thing I look for is where I can apply very new technology that I believe is going to be a game changer long term. So blockchain, these are obvious, people know them. Blockchain, machine learning, new technologies that are not, into the real estate space or into really almost anything besides some of the top level stuff like, Alexa, other stuff like that. But, where can we apply these cutting edge technologies? Robots are another one. We have some plans for that down the road. But anyways, that we can apply into the space that no one's doing. And we know that this technology is growing fast. And in technology, you have a few things where the technology gets better over time, somewhat predictably, actually. Additionally, the costs go down somewhat predictably. I think they call it Wright's Law. Every couple of years, it drops by half. So you have Moore's Law, which is the different one, but that's more about silicon. But anyways, basically you have this situation where you're betting on something where the costs are going down and it's getting better. So that's a pretty good situation. That's one thing we're looking for. Third thing. And then we apply that to a set of different ideas. So we have like a 200-page document with a lot of different ideas. We broke down applying our previous abstractions to the specific ideas. And then we rank them, force rank them. You can't do everything, right? So you just gotta let someone's go or table them.
Maybe one more question. Yeah.
I had a question about your real estate portfolio. Is it only in the US or has it expanded globally? I've seen stuff like El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as a legal tender for Bitcoin City. So is that kind of what your company's kind of trying to get ahead of? That maybe something similar might come to the US with ownership of Bitcoin? blockchain buying?
Yeah, so we're US based only, and I think that USA is the best real estate in the world. And I can get into why really quickly, but basically from an investment standpoint, you think about what matters most long-term, it's gonna be growth on real estate. Because at the end of the day, like that will be what will drive the asset to go up in value. Growth means population growth, also economic growth. Well, the USA, despite all its problems, still is a great country to be in. And we want to keep it that way and keep it getting better, right? And we have our own issues with racism and everything else that we're trying to work forward on and get better at, right? So we don't want to deny these things, but we also want to be proud of our history and continue to move forward. And we have common law. We have our legal systems very good. So in a business standpoint, you talk about India, right? India's, it's a mess on legal for real estate, and there's a lot of corruption, graft happens. It's not just India. I don't want to pick on India. It's a great country. A lot of other countries are like this, where there's a lot of graft and stuff that happens, stealing and theft essentially around real estate, because everyone knows there's money there. So you have like, someone will own it and someone will sell it to somebody else, even though you own it. The other guy thinks he owns it now. He's supposed to have a house on it or something. What are you doing? So it's not recorded correctly, and the judge could be in with the guy who just bought it. So this stuff happens all the time. In America, that doesn't happen. So it's kind of like London or Europe like that. But what we have over Europe, what's better over here versus Europe, is we have hope. We're still having kids. We're still making moves. We're moving forward. And we're not going socialist, right? We're staying capitalist. And by the way, I'm not into capitalism pure and raw. I like capitalism with virtue. Without virtue, it turns into rapaciousness, right? So, but our system ultimately is generates value for other people, and it continues to grow. And we have this, and hope is key, right? Because you believe in the future. When you believe in the future, you tend to get married, have kids, you have to do these things. You bet on stuff. You take investments because you believe on the other side of it, something will come out. So you give of yourself into things expecting to receive something later. And that's important. I don't think Europe has as much hope as we do in America, or at least the evidence is not there that they do. And we're continuing to pummel. And look, people are dying to get into this country, right? This is a great place. So I think USA is still the best real estate. And then that's one side. That's a growth side. Secondly, from what you get for your money, the cap rates are what real estate trades on. It's like a multiple, but in the reverse. So they call it cap rates, but they'll trade on stuff at like 2% in Hong Kong and like other places, right? Or Europe. Over here, it's still like 3 or 4. And at least that's before when I've seen it. And I'm sure that's still the same, because effectively, you're getting almost like you're getting a lot more for your money out here. So anyway, so we're USA based, but with the tokenization, my play there is to democratize access so people can invest from anywhere. So people in El Salvador can own real estate in the USA, because I think it's a better investment than in El Salvador, which is probably good investments in real estate too. But I don't know El Salvador so much. I don't think I've been to El Salvador actually. It's one of the few spots, but I've been around Central America, like like Guatemala and Nicaragua, stuff like that. So, but Panama, Mexico. But anyways, I don't know that area too much, but that's that president, I think, is kind of into that, or is that Honduras? That's an issue. But anyway, somebody's into it over there, and that's cool. It's good forward thinking. But they got to have, they have to solve their rule of law in a predictable way, essentially, over there, and then it becomes an easier place to invest. Like Singapore did that very effectively on the Lee Kuan Yew, so really clean rule of law. So you guys actually have a phenomenal international setup here, man. I didn't expect that, honestly. It's really impressive. I was just going through and just saying what's up to people. It's like Mexico, Bangladesh, India, different folks from different places. And then you guys learn off each other. I mean, so much of the growth in the world is going to happen over in South Asia and Southeast Asia. And I'm saying because China looks like it's going to plateau a bit, but Southeast Asia hasn't even come up yet. And India is still coming up. So a lot of growth is going to happen over there, but we can sell things to them from the technology side, out to them and serve them out there from here. But you look at the population, it's just massive over there. It's just astounding. It's huge. And they're still growing.
Our international students.
Yeah. I mean, it's impressive. It's cool. It's cool to see. And
Awesome. Well, hey, I think if it's, I don't know how much time Peter has, but it would be great to give him a little bit of time to maybe talk to a few of you that may be interested in coming to work for Rex. And Christian's here also. Christian heads the media and the marketing, right, Christian? So he's the senior vice president at Rex, and they could probably answer some of your questions related to what it's like to work there. Maybe what are some of the opportunities? If you got a few minutes.
Yeah, and what I'd say to you guys is, like I said, I am here to recruit and build a channel into Texas A&M, but I'm a long-term repeat player, so I don't need anything in the short term from you guys. And I'm here, if you have questions about anything, it doesn't matter. You know, the relevant areas would be entrepreneurship, business and stuff like that, but if you guys ask me anything, it doesn't matter. But I'm here, man, you already came out here, so I'm down to talk with you guys, whatever afterwards, so it doesn't need to be about you applying or nothing like that, don't worry about it. You know, we're gonna get you anyways, so.
Awesome. Hey, thank you, Zoom.